Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today we are discussing a 1986 movie sequel directed by James Cameron, and it's the second sequel in this sci-fi stroke horror franchise. We are talking Aliens, starring Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn, Lance Henriksen, name but three there. After the success of Alien, it was, it was just a matter of time before this came along. Let's say in the hands of James Cameron this time, not Ridley Scott. But so we'll go around these two people here for opening thoughts on Aliens. Tim, over to you.
I was surprised when this came out because I hadn't heard anything about it. And Alien had been, literally about 6-7 years earlier. And I thought Alien was a masterpiece. It is really. It's a masterpiece of horror. What is so good about this movie is that James Cameron took a completely different approach, threw all that out the window, and started over and made it an entirely different kind of movie. This is an action adventure film with the same horrific elements in there, but he's managed to expand those quite a bit. And he's very lucky. He's got the same. There's the survivor of the first film, Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley. He sets it up where it's about 60 years later. And she's been floating around in space all this time. And in the meantime, they've tried to colonize this planet. And it's a big mistake for them. I mean, you shouldn't really mess around with aliens. But I think what makes this movie so good, I think this is probably James Cameron's best film, or most successful film, because he's a very good filmmaker, very good at action and stuff. He's horrible with dialogue. He insists on writing all the dialogue, and quite often some of the dialogue is so unrealistic. So this one kind of avoids that. But I think it's an excellent sequel. It's got he's completely redone the whole thing. I mean, where it's got a lot. Most people that talk about the franchise, this is their favorite film because it's got so much going on, so much action, and it's completely different to the first film. The first film is a very slow moving horror film. Like I said, this is more of an action adventure kind of spectacle, and it's very good. There's some good bits that were cut out that are in this expanded edition. Like, for example, Ripley outlives her daughter because she's been sleeping for 60 years, and her daughter had her own life and became an old woman and passed like normal people do. That's in the expanded edition. That, and they show you a bit of the colony on the planet and what happened to them there, including the little girl's family, Newt, who gets rescued later in this film. Also, one good thing he did, he pulled one out of his hat too. Nobody expected the Queen alien to show up, and that was like, whoa! Now you've completely changed the whole thing. So that was a great surprise. I mean, really good. Overall, I mean, this is an excellent sequel to a movie that managed to completely tell a different kind of story with the same elements.
Yeah, it's not often a sequel surpasses the original, shall we say? It's happened a few times, but
I wouldn't
not
say
many
that.
times.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because they're two different kinds of film. You know what I mean? That's my point. Yeah. The element, the first movie is still a classic, still a modern horror classic. Whereas this,
as you pointed
out, but basically goes in a different direction.
As you pointed out, most fans of the franchise always sort of go to this one for their, the favourite. Susan.
Yeah. So. This movie, I watched the director's cut as well, and or the extended cut, whatever it's called, and not the one that was shown in the theater, and it was because of that it was good to see those extra scenes. And but the story itself is the first one is really like kind of just surprising and shocking in ways. But this one is like, you know that the xenomorph is out there, and you know what it can do, and you have in your head the whole thing, and it is the stuff of nightmares. I mean, but the the way um, the way you feel about it, you actually get angry with it more in this one, and you have the subtle indictment, or not so subtle indictment, of the big giant corporation, and the character played by Paul Reiser, um, both, on the level making you really. And the other guy. Let's see, where is he? Paul Maxwell playing Van Leeuwen. You get so mad at him because you've got so much invested in Ripley by this point, having watched the first movie, that when he is like, whatever, you're demoted, you're what you say is all fiction and stuff like that. And
You think she's bothered after 57 years that she's been demoted?
I don't know. I don't know. I would be if I was her. I'd be like, the hell you do that to me.
Well, I think that character's in over his head. I think that character's kind of a young soldier who's in over his head. He's not. No, he probably hasn't earned a position.
No.
He probably knows
the one in the boardroom. The one who played the guy who played Panama Hat in Indiana Jones.
I don't know who that
Anyway,
is. I thought you were talking about the guy that was in charge of the mission.
No, the guy who's in the boardroom in charge of the company. This guy.
I can't see that.
Anyway, he was he made me so mad. I was just like, whatever, because it was their company's fault to begin with. Oh my gosh. It's like that. It's like that abject capitalism stuff. Anyway, I was just like, yeah. And so the whole thing didn't have to happen. The settlers could have been warned. The people. I mean, there was just things that could have fallen into place. But everything was there for capitalism, and that made me mad. I mean, they were worried about a building being destroyed, but all these lives were being lost. I mean, that was just like crazy. And the other thing that was really is that you saw this queen giving birth. She couldn't be bothered. There were people sitting right in front of her. And yes, she could have been like, attacking them, but she was busy. Oh my gosh, she was so busy. She had all these eggs to lay. She knew that the other
people... Didn't she lay a lot?
What?
And didn't she lay a lot?
She did lay a lot of eggs. And oh my gosh, that was just like, the queen was, what a cool thing was to be confronted with that, because I mean, you knew what the queen could, you knew that what all these other xenomorphs could do, but here's a queen. What could she do? Oh my gosh! And she had created like this personal cave with her own body and all these other body parts, all up and down these walls. I mean, that was just wild, good, and then the rover, the vehicle that they drove on the planet was like, it was like the new Batmobile, or the more recent Batmobile.
I thought that when I was watching it.
I'm sorry, I should have saved that for you. There you go. There you go, Lee.
That's okay. I'll pinch some of yours later, don't worry.
Yeah, you can steal my ideas later. Anyway, so good. So that's my opening thoughts, and there were a lot of thoughts. So here we go. Back over to you, Lee.
Thanks. Yeah, really enjoyable. The ensemble cast was brilliant in this. So Lance Henriksen as Bishop, the android. As we found out sort of early on in the movie this time, compared to the original one. And what gets me though is they've been on this planet 30 years, terraforming it about for 30 years, or 20 years, something like
I don't
that.
think it's
And it
that
only,
long.
I'm positive because I'm sure the character played by Paul Reiser said they've been on the planet 30 years.
Okay.
So, but they've only, they only discovered the ship that day when Ripley came out of the freezer. But yeah, I like it. It's, yeah, as Tim said, it's a totally different movie to the first one. It's got the shock elements from the first one, but you say you've got the action adventure movie along with with the Marine Corps. But brilliantly done. The sets are totally outstanding, especially when they go further down. As Susan has mentioned, of the alien design of the tunnels and just brilliantly done. But I worry what I lose sleep at night. What about poor Jonesy? What happened to the cat?
He stayed behind.
Yes, but yeah, I'd love to know what happened to the cat. You can't just leave the cat there and we'll never hear from it again. Is it, is it adopted? Poor Jonesy. So let's go. Let's go to your favourite moments and things. What you're not so keen on, Tim.
Well, again, like you mentioned, he subverts what your expectations are from the first film. For example, Cameron, he introduces the robot relatively early, and the robot ends up being quite the hero, even though Ripley mistrusts him for most of the movie until the very end, when she relies on him, and he helps them out a lot. He's one of the only survivors of the film, to be fair, because they get up. Also, the business with the Queen. You think they're on their way. The movie's winding down, when all of a sudden, oh shit, there's that to deal with now, and it's a great piece of it's a great set piece. I mean, and that's why they set up that business with her learning how to use the suit earlier in the film. It's basically just a piece of equipment to help you load heavy packages and stuff like that. So I mean, so all that setup, I mean, for later, because they have a duel, and that's brilliant. That's a brilliant setup. I mean, so there's that. There's just overall, I mean, it's got a lot of surprising. The effects are surprisingly good. They're not quite as good as the first film for some reason. Some of the aliens look a bit sloppy with the mouth mechanism, and the.
Well,
but the, like,
I think,
on the other hand,
I think the first one was more. You didn't really see much of the alien in the first one.
Right.
This one, there was revealing a bit more of them, and this is why maybe they should have sort of kept them in the dark more in this one.
Well, there were a lot more of them too.
Yeah.
That they weren't. You end up realizing once the Queen is in it that they were just a minor menace. But also the segment with the face huggers that have been sent in there. Somebody slipped those into the room to try and get Ripley to shut up because they don't want to hear her anymore. It's interesting how she joins this group of Marines, and they're pretty much making fun of a civilian the whole first half of the movie. And at the end of the movie, she becomes the baddest, assest woman in the room. I mean, because she's Ripley. But yeah, the sequence with the face hugger running around on the floor, that was done pretty well too. So I mean, the effects are pretty top notch in this, and once again, the practical effects, no CGI here. So that's all well and good.
Very well, yeah, dated very well. It's not, it doesn't look awful. So
no,
over to Susan. Yeah. Over to Susan.
Yeah, great cast. I love the bit where at the end of that battle that Tim had just mentioned, the forklift versus the Queen battle, she's she says, "Get away from here, you bitch." And that was so badass. I just love her. I love that. And I love Ripley as a strong female character. Ripley is the bomb. Ripley is your mom, basically.
And they say there isn't strong female characters, ever in movies. Rubbish.
Yeah. Anybody who forgets Ripley is silly. And then there was Bill Paxton, which he's done some amazing stuff in his career, and who was the other one that I wanted to mention? Oh, what is her name? Oh, Cynthia Dale Scott, Corporal Dietrich, and Jeanette Goldstein as Private Vasquez too. I mean, like those are also super powerful cast member or characters, and so I mean this was sort of a woman powered thing. And then there was Jay Benedict, and I'm not positive if that's Dirk Benedict's brother, but like Newt's father looked just like Dirk Benedict, but and but there was a good cast. And this and then the other thing that about another super amazing moment was when she was Newt was in the water, and they did that sort of water rescue for her, and that was, oh my gosh, that was intense. That was so, yeah. And when you're outside, like, and the whole ambiance of the planet is that green color. I mean, like, that was pretty amazing. I mean, the outside sets were the stuff of nightmares. I've actually had nightmares about it. And I mean, intense and brilliant and wonderful movie. And when Bishop gets ripped in half, that's crazy. And then the fact that because he's a synth, he survives. I mean, that was amazing. I think that's about all I can think of right now, because I did do most of my favorite moments in my opening thoughts. Sorry, Lee. But anyway, here we go.
That's okay. Yeah, we like to mix it up.
Back to you.
For me, I just like the way in this one the aliens, if not evolve, but the learn to think more in this one, and to outthink the Marines, which is where they're locked in the room, rifles ready, and it's 30 meters away, 20 meters away, or 6 meters. Hold on a minute, that's it. They're in the room. Oh no, they're in the ceiling. They're in the ceiling. So the way, and it's like the Queen. The thinking, they're outthinking the humans. She looks at the elevator. Oh, I've just seen you do that. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But you could see that. Oh, I hope she's following her up there. But yeah, for me, the battle between the Queen and Ripley in the lifting suit just it's an iconic fight scene that now in Hollywood history. But to me now, when you look at this movie, I can't see anybody else playing Ripley. I mean, I know it was originally supposed to be a man. Ridley Scott changed that to a woman because he thought it'd be better for a woman to play it. And good on him for changing it to a woman, because God, she's one hell of a strong bitch, isn't she? She
Yeah,
is.
I mean, that original script was written as with the 7 characters in the first film were just they just said, it's up to the director. He can make them male or female. There was nothing that described them as male or female characters, and he turned to them into female.
There was
going
to cast a male. That's what I'm saying. But, yeah, a great idea. But and it's gone down in movie history. That one of the best movie characters ever. It's a shame. Maybe I don't know. She's maybe being typecast from these, but
I don't think so. She's had plenty of work. She's never had to worry about it. I mean, she turns up in Ghostbusters and other movies. She's never had a hard time finding work.
Yeah.
But I mean, as soon as someone says Sigourney Weaver, it's Ripley, and it's what comes to your head. Ripley.
But she's a very good actress too. She's a very good actress too. I noticed that in the first film. Just the facial expression she puts on. She's very good.
As she says, she's Ghostbusters. She's good at comedy because she's been in a few comedies. And
she was in Paul with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Yeah. So, right. Anything else before we go to final say and score? No. Okay then.
She was also in Amazing Grace and Chuck, which I really loved. That was about a kid who gave up baseball, and she played this agent for these professional sports players. Anyway, she's got a lot of depth.
Right then, we'll go to final say and score then. Susan.
All right. Well, I love this movie. It has caused nightmares, and the sweetness between Newt and Ripley is, it's iconic. It's really iconic. It's like Ripley and the cat. Ripley and what's the cat's name? Jonesy. Hashtag adopt Jonesy. Apparently is Lee's new hashtag.
I lose sleep just thinking about wonder what I've had to do.
I know. I'll give this a 10 xenomorphs out of 10.
Thank you, Susan. Over to Tim.
This is the perfect example of how to do a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the best sequels ever made. I mean, for a film, because it really does. It takes what's great and adds to it and builds upon it and shakes it all up and confounds your expectation and exceeds your expectations. It's one of those movies that it's really all that. I mean, but I'm going to give it a 10 as well then, because they don't really make them like this anymore if you think about it.
No, they don't, do they? It's a shame that. I miss the good old days. For me, I'm going to give it 10 giant queen egg sacs out of 10. So, on that bombshell, I don't know. I drank them out of the air. They just. But I think, oh God, I'm going to lose it now. I thank Susan and Tim for joining me talking James Cameron's Aliens. And you guys out there, I would say watch the special edition, because it does add a little bit more to the movie. It's a little bit longer, but it adds to the story.
It's worth it.
Yeah. So please leave a comment below if you like what we do, or leave a comment if you like aliens, and tell us, your experience with the movie. There, yeah, we're all flashing. There we go. We're doing all that. But please, if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we're on there as Geeks Assembled. If you want to be notified with our videos, just press the bell logo and you'll get the notification. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. So if you want to join the group, please message me anywhere on there and we'll try and get you involved. We're a happy bunch some of the time.
99% chance you're already watching this on YouTube.
Well, maybe it does go up on Facebook as well and Twitter. So there you go. So until next time, stay safe. Don't have nightmares like Susan does. But there again, she has nightmares with most of the movies we do. So until next time, bye for now.